Have you ever been about to do something, but your mind was just filled with worry and fear? That's exactly what today's episode is about. Those moments when you're about to do something, you're getting ready for it, and you can literally feel this resistance rising up inside you. You feel like you hate doing it. You're scared of doing it. You're not ready to do it. You don't want to do it. Those kinds of feelings. Your whole being pushes back so strongly, but deep down, you know you still have to do it. So then the question is, how do we get through this? Take public speaking, for example. Standing in front of a crowd terrifies you, right? So how do you overcome that fear so you can actually step up, actually give that presentation, and even deliver it fluently, deliver it well? How do you do that? I'm going to share with you some very practical experiences from my own life. You know, back in the day, I actually had this condition where I was terrified of talking on the phone. And this wasn't just some random fear. I later found out, after reading medical and psychological materials, that it was actually recognized as a real condition. But now, I'm happy to say I can confidently declare that I've completely overcome it. These days, talking on the phone is just fun, no problem at all. And honestly, it's kind of funny, because for many people, there's nothing scary about a phone call. But I'm telling you, some people are just born with certain fears. It's like how some people are terrified of insects. Personally, I'm not scared of bugs at all, but I know people who are, right? So let's just put all of those things together in one category we could call things I'm afraid of. So how do we overcome them? Well, today I'm going to break it down for you very carefully into 3 steps. These steps all come from my real-life experiences, and I really hope they'll be useful for you. Now, before we dive into the examples, let me go ahead and tell you all 3 steps up front, just to make it easier to follow along. Because the main point of today's episode really is these 3 steps. I'll probably repeat them, circle back to them, emphasize them over and over so they really stick with you. So here we go. The way to overcome fear when you're about to do something can be broken down into 3 steps. Step 1 is this: give it plenty of time. This is so important because what I see is a lot of people just avoid, and then only right before the actual day, they finally face the thing they're afraid of. And I think that's probably the least wise approach. Because at that point, you won't be able to conquer the fear. All you can really do is close your eyes and push through it, and usually the result is terrible. I've seen people give presentations that completely failed, just fell apart entirely. And I think one of the main reasons is that they waited until the very last minute before daring to face their fear. I've asked about this many times, and honestly, that's usually the case. So step 1 is give yourself enough time. Step 2 is this: during that extra time you've given yourself before you actually do the thing you're afraid of, you lie down and imagine it. You picture yourself doing that scary thing. That's step 2. In a moment, I'll explain it more clearly. And then step 3, what is it? Step 3 is you lie there and imagine the failures that might happen when you're doing that scary thing. So those are the 3 steps. Now, in this opening part, I'm only giving you the most condensed general version. And I get it. Some of you might listen to this and not feel much at all yet. But once we get into the examples, trust me, you'll feel it right away. So let's quickly recap before we move into an example. Step 1, give yourself enough time. Step 2, imagine yourself actually doing the scary thing. Step 3, imagine the failures you might face while doing it. That's it. Just these 3 steps. And if you really practice them, I guarantee you'll stop being afraid of doing things that you used to be absolutely terrified of. Now let's go into an example. One of the greatest fears humans share. This is real. There are even studies and statistics to back it up. And that fear is public speaking. It's fascinating. One of the biggest fears people have is standing up to present something in front of a crowd. For many, it makes them sweat bullets. Their heart races thump, 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 thump like crazy. The stress is overwhelming. And here's the funny part. In everyday life, they might actually be very talkative. They can chat endlessly, respond quickly, joke around with no problem. But the moment they have to stand in front of an audience, even for something simple like giving a short toast at a party, suddenly they're terrified. They stumble over their words, they stutter, and I know for sure their palms are sweaty, their feet are sweaty, everything. So, how do you overcome that? Go back to the 3 steps I just mentioned. Step 1. You have to truly give it time. For example, if you know your presentation is on the 30th and you already know about it in advance, then start thinking about it as early as possible. I sincerely remind you, don't avoid it. Face it. Think about it as early as you can. That's going to be a real advantage in life. Because there are some things that, no matter how much you avoid them, they're not going to disappear. You've got to look straight at them first. And wouldn't it be amazing? Such an advantage if you have a presentation on the 30th, but you've already been mentally preparing for it since the 1st? That gives you 20-something, almost 30 days to think about it early. That's powerful. So, step 1 is simple. Now, step 2. What is it? During those 20-something 30 days before the actual event, I'm telling you, you don't even need to prepare much of the content yet. What you really need to do is this simple psychological exercise for me. Just imagine it. When you've got some free time, maybe you're lying down for a nap, just imagine it. Why? Because your fear doesn't actually come from the action itself. You haven't even done anything yet. All of it starts in your mind, so you need to straighten that out first. Your fear isn't in reality. It's in your head. And what you need is clarity, a kind of inner toughness, a fearlessness that starts in your mind. That's why step 2 is so simple. Whenever you've got a free moment, whether you're sitting, lying down, or even walking, just imagine it. Picture yourself doing that thing you're afraid of. For example, let's say on the 30th, you're going to present a marketing plan to the board of directors and you're the one chosen to deliver it. Then just sit there and imagine it, or lie down and imagine it. Picture what you're going to wear that day. Picture how you'll hold your folder, how you'll walk into that meeting room, what kind of presents you'll carry, how you'll greet people, how you'll start your introduction. Now, to many people, these images might feel totally normal, even obvious. But for those of us who carry fear inside, these images can feel so vague and so scary. Your task is to make yourself clearly see how you would actually do it. This is the exact method I used, and it helped me overcome a lot of my fears, because like I've told you, I'm an introvert. Deeply introverted, in fact, and I've never felt truly comfortable standing in front of people and talking. That's just the truth. But remember this, just because I've never felt comfortable doesn't mean I can't do it. My ability to speak in front of others simply comes from practice. And that practice started in my mind first. I spent days, sometimes many days, forcing myself to imagine it, to think through exactly how I would do it if it happened in real life, how I would stand, how I would move my hands while speaking, what I would say first, what I would say next. I imagined it all in my head. And the clearer the picture became, the higher my chances of success were. At some point, after imagining it enough times, even though I hadn't actually given the speech yet, the act of speaking in front of people didn't feel strange anymore. It felt familiar. And that sense of familiarity with what you're afraid of, that's the key. Think about it. Who really stays afraid of something they do all the time? For example, a singer, when do they get nervous? Usually at the very start of their career, when big stages are still new to them. Or maybe if they've stopped performing for years and then suddenly they return. The stage feels strange again, and that's when the nerves come back. But someone who performs every single day, they're not shaking. They're calm. I'm telling you, they don't tremble anymore. It's the same for you. If you can make yourself feel familiar with what you're afraid of by imagining it again and again before it actually happens, then even if it's something you've dreaded for years, you'll find it so much easier to handle. Imagine it enough and you won't be afraid anymore. Or at the very least, even if you're someone who's extremely sensitive, this method can reduce your fear by 70%. Honestly, 70%. The key question is, do you really value this exercise? Do you actually want to spend time imagining? Or do you dismiss it from the start, thinking, that's silly, that's pointless, nothing hard about it? Because if you think like that, you'll never try it. And if you don't try, your level of skill and confidence in public speaking or in facing any fear will stay exactly the same. This is a very personal experience of mine, but I found it extremely effective. And this program, at the end of the day, is just me sharing my thoughts with you, right? You can take it or leave it, it's up to you. But I'm only sharing what has worked for me. And because it worked for me, I believe in it 100%. There are so many things I no longer fear simply because I practiced this imagination exercise. Even meeting strangers, like clients, works the same way. Think about it. When you're just starting a new job, any job really, these days so many roles require meeting people, dealing with clients or partners. And I know some folks who, the moment they hear they'll have to meet a client, they can't even sleep. Truly, they lose sleep over it. And the sad thing is that lost sleep doesn't bring them any benefit. They're not solving the problem. They're just trembling through the night. So, in my view, spending that time to imagine exactly how you'll do it, how you'll walk in, how you'll greet them, how you'll talk, is so much more effective and so much more valuable. Which cafe will you choose to meet at? Imagine it. How many minutes early will you arrive? Imagine it. What will you wear? Imagine it. What drink will you order? Imagine it, even down to that little detail. And when your client arrives, how will you greet them? How will you shake their hand? What will be the very first question you ask? Imagine it. If you keep imagining this day after day, over and over, it sinks into your subconscious. You'll know step 1, step 2. You'll act naturally. And then something kind of funny happens. When you live out the real moment, your actions are almost like a copy of the mental rehearsal you've already done. You'll feel familiar with the situation, and you'll feel incredibly confident. Even if it's your very first time doing it, you'll feel confident. Like I said, once you've grown familiar with it, even if it's just in your mind, it makes you much more confident. That's step 2. So now let's move on to step 3. After you've imagined exactly how you'll do the thing, the next step is to imagine something even scarier. Failure. And this is where true courage shows. It's about daring to look at your fears, even the potential ones, the ones that may never actually happen. But me, I'm bold about this. I go for it. I like to stare straight at possible failures, to imagine them, to face them head on. I'm not afraid because at this stage, it's all just imagination. It might happen, it might not. Who cares? What matters is I want to flush all that fear out of my system, and the most effective way is to face it directly, even before it happens. Right? So step 3 is, I imagine the failures I might face if I actually go through with the thing I'm scared of, the thing I dread, the thing I want to run away from. Let's go back to the public speaking example. Of course, there are endless examples of fear. I could go on until tomorrow and still not run out. So please understand, I choose public speaking because it's something broad and relatable, something almost everyone can connect to. That's my intention. It's not that this whole talk is only for people afraid of giving speeches. So back to the point. Sit down and imagine the failures that might happen when you're standing there giving your presentation. For instance, what if you suddenly forget your point? Then what? Imagine that. Picture the possible glitches, the possible failures that could happen while you're presenting. And you know what? I've actually applied this myself, exactly as I'm describing it to you now. When I sat down and imagined the failures I might run into during a presentation, I pictured it just like this. What if I forget my point? And right in the middle of that imagination, the answer came to me. I thought, well, I'll just turn to the audience and say, wait, what did I just say? Do you remember, honestly? You all look so serious that I forgot, too. That's how I imagined it. Can you picture the situation? I literally said that exact line in my mind. And when it came to real life, when I was up there giving the talk, I already had that failure path prepared in my mind. Because let's be honest, things never go perfectly smoothly. There are always glitches. And I had already thought through those glitches in advance. There are times when I get so nervous that I really do forget. But the moment I say that little line, everything starts to loosen up. And honestly, people even feel more comfortable with me. I just admit it. I forget, so I admit it. I say, oh wait, what did I just say? Can you guys remind me? Honestly, looking at all of you being so serious made me forget what I was saying. Something like that. Then someone in the audience reminds me, and I can go right back to presenting. And when someone reminds me, I'll add another lighthearted line. Like, thank you so much, you just saved my life. If you hadn't reminded me, I'd probably be standing here stuck until evening. See that? Those are things that may or may not actually happen, but I've already imagined them beforehand, and if they do happen, I just go with it. I already have a script in mind. I think ahead about the possible hiccups, failures, or awkward situations that might come up. I think about them over and over, and suddenly I've already got options ready to respond. The amazing thing is, the more I think about them, the smaller my fear gets. So here it is, 3 simple steps. Step 1. Give yourself plenty of time. Step 2. Think about how you're going to do it. By the time you get to step 2, your fear has already shrunk a lot. Step 3. Be brave, even if it's just in your imagination, and look straight at the failures that could happen. And when you do that, honestly, you'll feel incredibly confident. Even if you don't have experience, you'll still feel confident. Now, there's one more thing I want to mention. I know that after listening to this episode, many of you will want to try practicing these 3 steps. But let me be real with you. Before you jump into step 1, add one more step. Let's call it step 0. What is it? It's about being serious. If you treat these 3 steps like a game, like, yeah, I can do it or not, just for fun, let's see what happens, who cares if it works or not? Then don't do it. Just skip it. Because honestly, it takes time. And if you do it half-heartedly without your full commitment, failure is guaranteed. So better not to do it at all, it'll save you the time. But if you do decide to do it, then treat the time you spend imagining as if it's real mental work. Because it is. That's real practice. Not play. Don't treat sitting there imagining as play. Treat sitting there imagining as real. And do it with full attention, full focus. That's the only way you can channel your energy into it. I can show you the method, but if you just mess around with it, it won't work. You'll never succeed that way. I've shared this method with a few people before, some close friends, even younger siblings of mine. Some of them succeeded, but others failed. And here's the common pattern I noticed. With the people who succeeded, the key at the beginning was their attitude. That's step 0 I talked about. The attitude. They wanted to do this. They were determined to do this. They were serious about doing this. And because of that, their chances of success were very high. But then there are people who just sit down whenever they have free time, suddenly remember, and start imagining casually for fun. They imagine for 5-10 minutes, then stop. They pick up their phone, scroll, and that's it. For those kinds of people, it's just a waste of time. Honestly, for people like that, I'd even suggest not doing it at all. It'll waste your time, and it really won't go anywhere. All right, to be honest, I feel pretty satisfied by now. As I try to sweep through my thoughts, recalling quickly the past half an hour or so, reviewing to see whether I've said everything, whether I've covered enough, I think I basically have. I hope what I've shared can in some way bring you more peace, calmness, steadiness, and courage on your life's journey. Because life has some really scary things. Sometimes you try something for the very first time, and it's terrifying. These 3 steps can help you. By the way, let me share a little experience of mine. The first time I traveled abroad, all by myself. Honestly, it was nerve-wracking. From the moment my flight ticket got booked, my heart was pounding nonstop. But thankfully, I knew this method, so I booked the ticket very early to give myself plenty of time to prepare. And, oh man, let me tell you, the first time you go abroad, you worry about everything. It's scary. Even if you know the language, it's still scary. It's your first time, right? Of course it's nerve-wracking. There's even this constant urge to find excuses to back out. That's just the mindset. But luckily, because I was clear about this 3-step method, I booked my ticket really early, I was smart about it. If I had booked just a week before, I probably would have canceled it for real. Booking early already checked off step 1, right? After that, I moved on to step 2. I sat down and imagined how I'd arrive at the airport, which counters I'd go through, which areas I'd walk to. And for the parts I imagined but didn't know clearly, I would just hop on Google and search. For example, if my flight was going to land at Airport ABC, I'd look up information about that airport, its map, the terminal my flight from New York would arrive at, which counters it would go through, what procedures were needed, how to go through customs, how to clear immigration, stuff like that. I even downloaded the actual forms, the papers I'd need to fill out, and prepared them in advance. And you just keep imagining like that. I arrive at the airport, then what? I walk to the counter, then what happens? Even that little moment of holding my passport and handing it to the officer, I imagined that too. Seriously? I sat there and imagined that exact scene. That's how detailed I played it out in my head. And in the end, everything happened so smoothly, you guys. I mean it. Smooth. And like I told you before, so often what happens in reality feels like a copy and paste straight out of your imagination. That's what makes me so proud of this method. Because when you've already visualized something like that, when the real situation happens, in so many cases, of course not all, but in so many, it unfolds almost exactly the way you pictured it. And that's one of the biggest reasons I've kept using this method for so many other things later on. So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is to imagine the problems. Let's say you arrive and immigration doesn't let you through. What questions would they ask you? Or imagine if you're missing some documents and they say you can't enter. What exactly would they demand from you? So I'd visualize those situations and prepare the paperwork in advance. Or say once inside the country, you lose your passport. Or maybe your bag gets stolen. Losing your passport abroad is a nightmare. So I'd think ahead about that possibility too. What steps I'd take, how I'd handle it. Basically, you dare to face your fears. Because many people would just pray, "Oh Lord, please don't let anything bad happen to me." But I don't live like that. I think it's much better to look straight at the risks before they even happen. And that gives you this sky-high confidence. And this confidence isn't fake. It's not some fluffy daydream. It's grounded in reality. And I found that we can really build our courage and resilience this way, even when we're doing something for the very first time, with zero experience. So I really hope that my sharing in this part has been helpful to you, even if just a little. Honestly, I was already about to wrap up earlier, but then I remembered that whole going abroad story, so I had to add a bit more. I hope you don't mind my long-windedness here. But all right, this is really the end now. Thank you so much for listening to this episode with me. And now, goodbye, and I'll see you again in the next one.